5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back, Jenny.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
You got some big changes happening.
I do.
So you are the founder of Better Together Dog Rescue.
That's correct.
Tell me how this got started.
Well, it was started with a dream. Like
starts
most
with a
people,
dream.
it always starts with a dream. I've been working towards the goal for about 5 years now. Getting more experience in the field and almost finished with my master's degree in contemporary animal services. Doing an internship in a few weeks for 5 weeks out at Best Friends Animal Society, which is really exciting. And, I've been working in the nonprofit management field for 15 years now. So I have a lot of the business management background. I know how to start an organization and I know how to run it. So it's more about getting the shelter experience under my belt before we get into a building.
Yeah. So what is the volunteer work that you have to do for the next 5 weeks? Tell me more about that.
So I'll be volunteering at Dogtown out in Kanab, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
They are a no-kill facility. It's also a sanctuary, so dogs can live out their lives there.
Nice.
I've followed them and been a donor personally and professionally for many, many years now and have attended 3 of their national conferences, which inspired me every single time and launched me further into wanting to get into this career and finally making that move. I had young kids, so it was about kind of preparing for it and then waiting until a good time to make a move on it. So I will be out there working 10-hour days, 5 days a week, and I'll be working with behavioral dogs and learning the ins and outs of the shelter workplace and really gaining a ton of experience.
That's pretty cool.
So
Yeah,
I am
that's really cool.
super excited
And
about
this
it.
is all a requirement for...
So for the master's, I had the option of an internship or a thesis. Like, come on. You know what I mean?
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Could I have gone someplace local and done my internship? Yes. But going to Best Friends has been a dream of mine. I wanted to go for my 40th. Couldn't get there because of COVID. So they actually partnered with Southern Utah University, which is where I'm getting my degree and how I found out about it. They created this master's degree together. And so when I saw that they had these internships available, it was a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
Like, bye, family.
So how long are you going to be out there for again?
5 weeks.
Wow.
I leave Labor Day weekend and I come back
Going to recognize those kids when you come
mid-October.
back?
I know. I know.
Do you think they're going to be able to handle it okay?
Dad's
You
in
think, guys?
charge.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, let him know we're here for him if he needs anything.
I know. They'll be in school.
I'll just send
If it
Cheryl
was-
over.
I'd feel bad if it was over the summer, but they're in school, so they'll be busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, so I don't know if the audience knows that I've been in animal rescue now for, I think it's 9 years this year. Something like that. Yeah, 9 years. And, it's been a weird progression how we even got it started off with one dog that we rescued, and then the wife's like, we should probably be fosters. And there's a lot of things that get involved with fostering. Like our first foster broke its leg the first night it was here. And I remember going, we're done. I'm not doing fostering ever again. And, but those things happen, and it's for the good cause. You never know what can happen in fostering, but the end result is that you feel it's such a healing of your soul when you know that these dogs finally get placed. They're done moving around, and it's good to see that process, but it's not easy, and we fostered together for quite some time.
We did, and I fostered only puppies.
Right.
God
bless you, by the way.
I somehow have the patience for them, but not my own children.
Right. That's normal. Yeah.
I cried after the first one went. You have to have your moment. You have to kind of build up, the the facade to let go of these animals. But yes, the ultimate goal is to keep making room, keep them out of the shelters, keep them from being euthanized. So you let them go, you're happy that they've moved on to a family, and now you have a space for another one to come in.
It's amazing, you hear horror stories and it just never seems to end, right? No matter how many shelters you have, no matter how many foster people you have, that process of animals and people don't know the importance of spraying and neutering your pets, especially down south. That's a whole, no offense to down south, but it is a different world down there.
Well, that's where all the rescues come from. That's where mine's from. He's Louisiana or something. No, right. Tennessee. He was Tennessee. Yeah.
And that's going to be our focus too at the rescue.
Is it
We're
really?
going to be transporting in partnering with 2 to 3 shelters that have overcrowding issues, and we'll be bringing them into the state.
Now, are you going to be dealing with a lot of kill shelters? Are they taking from there to come up here?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's how we got Scout. Scout was in a no-kill shelter. in a kill shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody that we do business with in a semi-quasi way called and said, hey, we got this dog. And, it's funny. I always tell people this. When you foster certain dogs and your dog shows up and finds you.
Mm-hmm.
So when Cheryl had her brain injury, Scout was a crazy man. Like, we first got him here. I'll never forget. I left for work and he had just gotten here. And, Cheryl then was, even now she's very good with dogs and knows what to do. But I'm like, I'm going to take off. And she's like, okay. I get halfway to Worcester and she calls me hysterical. Scout jumped the fence in one shot and he's gone. So we had everybody here. My buddy came to help. His original foster came to help. And he's 3 houses down. Like an hour and a half later, we find him 3 houses down playing with another dog. And then shortly thereafter, Cheryl has her brain injury. And I can remember the day she came home. We went in the front door. I put her on the couch and got a blanket. And he was just looking at us like, and he was very destructive when we first got him. We couldn't leave him alone. I remember one day we left and he ate the whole entire wall where the window is. He ate the trim.
And the trim.
Yep, and he went after the plaster, and it was quite the ordeal to fix that. And but I'll tell you that when he realized that she was hurt, he lay down next to her, and to this day,
they're inseparable.
Yeah, he can't go anywhere. I mean, he's good now. Like we started going camping, so we've been gone for a little bit, and he's been kind of holding it together. But one funny story is, and I was telling you when he first got here, so we bought recliners for the living room. Yep. I don't know about you, but we just don't go in the living room anymore. As I get older, I don't watch TV, so we started taking the couches out. He's looking at us like, what are you guys doing? And she sends me a picture. I'll show you later. He is on the last cushion of that couch, and he will not get up, right? He is protesting taking that out. And then so we have all dog beds on the floor now for him. And he's in this little dog bed, and he just looks like someone, like he lost his own puppy.
Yep.
He's just curled up. He's got that look on him like,
Why are you doing this to me?
Just all sour about it.
We made the old man mad. So, that's getting a lot better. But, we were talking earlier, he's definitely showing his age now. I mean, I can see it.
I don't see it, but yeah. Yeah.
He's got the dirty ass, the old man ass.
Yep.
He's definitely getting there. That's why we had to get rid of this.
The sofa.
Yep, old man ass rubbing on the couch.
Yeah.
Mine's my dog. He's getting older, but he's got my parents replaced their living room set at one point because the couch got ruined, and they had these 2 really fancy chairs, and one was like a chair and a half, and one was like a normal size chair. But the whole set, my dad, for 10 years I'd listened about how much money he spent on it. So they were nice chairs. So when my dad gave them to me, we made one of them his dog bed, and I didn't let him on the couch. And then as he got older, we had to replace the chair. We gave him the smaller chair. He's not happy about it because he's a big dog. He liked the big chair, but he ruined it.
Yeah.
And I started feeling bad. So I was letting him up on the couch with us because he just wanted to be with us humans, right? And we just replaced our couch. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you're not coming up on the couch. And we've been letting him on for about 2 years now.
They're devastated when that happens.
Oh, yeah. And he'll just sit and he begs more to get on the couch than he does for any type of food. Just sits and gives you the sad eyes for, first 20 minutes you're sitting down just staring at you like, I don't get it.
I can't believe you don't give in to that.
he's a really big dog, and I just got to wait a little while on the brand new couch.
Yeah.
You got to let
Yeah,
it
I
break
get
in a
it.
little bit.
'Cause,
Yeah.
You know, he's destroyed every other piece of furniture.
Yeah.
And that's
I'm
why
impressed.
letting
I'm
him
impressed.
up on the couch, I'm more impressed with the fact that he actually listens. You
I'm
know?
also impressed with that.
He doesn't even
Yes.
try to sneak up. And even before, because we spent so long without him, the last time we got the new couch, I did the same thing. But as it got worn, you know, I was like, well, we're going to be replacing it. So let's just let him, you know, get on it until we can't deal with how it looks anymore. And because of that, even for the 2 or 3 years we were letting him on the couch, he would ask for permission every single time. He would never assume that he could come up. He'd sit there and look, and I'd have to
Wow.
tell him,
Yeah.
you know, come on up. And like, he doesn't have the sense of anything else. He's horrible. No leash manners. You can't take him for a walk. He lunges at cars from the sidewalk. So if you weigh any less than 200 pounds, you're going into the street.
Yeah.
You know, and but that one thing, I got, you know, I call him an idiot half the time, but he's
got that down.
got that down.
Yep. we took Samson camping this weekend just for a night. We got there like around, we had to go let him out. So it was like 8 o'clock by the time we got back. And you should have saw the look on his face. Grin to ear grin. So happy to be there. And he was not used to seeing that many people in one time, you know. If you're walking him and he sees you, if you're in his line of sight,
Yeah.
he is going to say hi. And God forbid you say no to him. He gets so crazy, right? So we're literally trying to, like, you know,
He wants to say hi
he's
to
so
everybody.
big that I got to be careful. Like, I got to
Yeah.
tell people, no, he's really good. And everybody's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And we took him to a friend's campsite that has just a little dog. And she left him in the camper. But he was so happy. Then we went on this huge walk. And then we went back and had a fire. And he lay down next to me, next to the fire. And I'll tell you, he was in heaven. Absolute heaven. So
He was
he's-
like, they love me the most.
But Scout's a really good camping dog because he
definitely
goes
the
with
favorite.
Cheryl. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a trainer last week because our youngest, our COVID foster failure, Marty, has really shown some new colors over the past few months.
Oh,
So
wow.
we were training, and of course he was like amazing at the trainer, you know. And the whole time I'm like, this is great, but I have 2 other dogs at home. How would I do this at home with 3 dogs, you know? But, you know, we left, or I was leaving, and he was like, you know, this is your fault. You have no boundaries, no discipline, no rules.
Right.
And I was like, yep,
Yep.
you know, but I don't know where to go from
Oh,
here.
the trainer said that you had no. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So he's coming this week, and I'm literally just going to let him in the house and just see how it goes in the house. So he has got a real true idea of how much they do control the entire house,
Right.
and we'll see what happens from there, but it should be interesting.
Can I ship Luna over there too?
So it's
Sure.
3 puppies, because you said you foster only puppies, or
Yeah, so I have 3 foster fails. All of them were puppies when we adopted them. Ren is 5, Callie is going to be 4, and Marty Bird is 1.
okay, so not puppies so much.
So Marty
except
is
for,
Liam's
except for
brother,
Marty.
right?
No,
No.
they look alike, but
Okay.
no.
I thought they were brothers for some reason.
Marty is half Pyrenees. He's really tall, really big for a young dog. He's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
he.
It's a he, and he's starting to guard,
Yeah.
starting to cause trouble with the siblings.
Oh yeah.
So
I'd love to get another, but I don't think my dog doesn't like other dogs.
You'd be surprised. You know,
He's-
there's an adjustment period, but most of them will tolerate another dog after a certain amount of
Because
time.
we
Like,
even tried like dog sitting, and
yeah, it's different. They kind of know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird because.
'cause we've done like a week, and it was just constant. Like,
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we had to separate them. Like we had to gate one downstairs, and one had the upstairs.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, some dogs just
Yep.
prefer being the only dog,
Yeah.
and I'm getting that feeling about Marty. So we're kind of in this predicament where
'Cause I
we've
think my-
got 3 young dogs now and 1 who wants to be the only dog in the house. So where do we go from here?
I'd like to be the only one in the house. So if anybody out there in YouTube land would like to adopt my wife,
Cheers.
she can be vicious sometimes, but as long as you have treats, you are good to go. I'm only kidding. She's good to me. I don't know how she puts up with me. Tell you, the truth. Like I would have
Me
left
neither.
me a long time
Me
ago
neither.
if that was me.
You're a lucky man.
So what made you want to take the jump from just fostering and then and this is going to be your gig now? So what was the motivation behind that?
the motivation behind it was that it was always something I wanted to do. And just finding the right time and feeling like it was the right time to do it, that I had the experience and I had the motivation and
Yep.
the energy to do it. And through the process of the past 5 years, it's helped to make clear what that journey was going to look like and what Better Together was going to look like. So I learned a lot, especially this past year, about equity and inclusion, you know,
Yep.
and I've thought so much about how privileged I am with my dogs and what I can provide to them
Sure.
without thinking about it. And now I'm thinking about it all the time. Going to the emergency vet. You know, I
You just
have
dealt with that. a little while
2-parent
ago.
household.
Twice.
Yeah. 2-parent household. So I can go in the middle of the night. Somebody's there with the kids. I have a car that can take me there.
Yep.
I have the money to provide it. All of these things that never even crossed my mind before. And now I'm seeing how much animal welfare is involved in that.
That's a really good point. I mean, we brought Scout and Samson in a week apart from each other, and that cost us over $5,000. And I can ask Cheryl, I remember being in the car because COVID, we couldn't go in. And so there was one day we were out there for 8 hours. Scout was longer. I think we were out there for close to 10 hours before they finally said he's staying. And I looked at her and I said, you know, we are blessed that we have, you know, we're not rich by any means, but we have enough in the bank to cover this.
Yeah.
We won't have anything after this, but we always find a way. I've through my life, I understand that I will never be rich. And you know what? It took me, I'm going to be 50 soon, that long to understand, like, that's okay. I don't know if I want to be rich because I have been blessed throughout the years, been able to afford things. And, you know, it's not always easy. Sometimes I had to borrow money, but, you know, pay it right back. But I've always had this, like, and I said to her, what do people do that don't have enough money? They would have to go in there and say goodbye
Yeah. Yep.
over something that maybe, you know, a couple $100. I mean, a lot of people can't even afford a $500 bill, emergency bill.
Right.
Never mind a vet fee. And that really, you know, that whole part really infuriates me of how much money it takes if you bring your dog to the vet. I don't think it should be near. I mean, if we're all in this together kind of thing, I guess you can buy dog insurance, but can you, I mean, some people, can they afford the $30, $40, $50 a month?
Yeah, sometimes you can't.
You can't,
So
right?
then you're just like playing, you know, it's like the lottery. Like, you just
And
gotta
you
hope.
need to have
Yeah.
decent credit to even, you know, be approved for things like that, or
Sure.
the care credit card, and
Yep.
you know, which we got when our first dog was sick and with cancer and needed surgery, and we didn't have it in the savings, but
Right.
we had good credit, and so we were able to get an interest-free
Yeah.
card, and that's just not available for everyone.
Right.
And I can say that confidently that the animal welfare field is completely moving towards that direction. So it's, you know, the idea of Better Together is opening a community-based dog shelter. The point is keeping the dogs out of the shelter. So looking at it differently and supporting the humans as well as the dogs.
It's fantastic. Yep.
Because if you can provide food, if you can provide vaccine, microchips, grooming, lower vet care, things, then they get to keep their pets at home and ultimately out of the shelter. So it's a win-win.
So that's what you're going to be focusing on too, is that what you just
Yes,
said? Okay,
100%.
good. That's fantastic.
Yes.
I think that's exactly right. We got to start thinking about this in a whole new different way. You know, fostering is one thing, having a shelter is another thing, but then reaching out, you know, and really hitting the streets of where that money can really be used in support. I think that's phenomenal.
I mean,
Yeah.
why do I deserve a pet more than anyone else?
Right.
I don't.
Right.
Because I can afford it? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we all have animals. We all know the human animal bond is real, scientifically proven. It's better for your mental health, your physical health. It
Yep.
brings you out into the world to meet people that you may never cross paths with because you have this thing in common. You're walking your dogs,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you have something in common and to talk about. And you know, why should it only be certainly people who get to have that?
That's a really good point.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's a really big, important part of my mission. And I learned all of that through my master's degree and best friends. I mean, I owe all of it to that. It really opened my mind to the privilege in the animal welfare field. I mean, we've been so focused on social privileges, you know, in the country, and somehow I just never connected it to the animal welfare field. But brilliant people did, and so thankfully it's moving in that direction.
Yeah.
So
Well,
is that the model that Best Friends has? Is basically supporting the people that.
Yeah,
Sort of
I mean,
ongoing
they
support.
are, yes, so they're pushing this community-based effort.
Okay, so that's kind of what that's the basis of your vision. So it was big,
That's
like you
the
said,
base of my
you
vision.
owe it to them.
Yes.
And so you're kind of just, well, I wouldn't say, I guess franchising is a bad word, but
I think
you're
that they're
kind of adopting,
branching out with the network.
I would say adopting.
Adopting
I
their
mean,
model.
they're putting it out to all the shelters, all their network partners, and saying this is what we need to do as a country.
Yeah.
And then the shelters are saying, yes, we do, and kind of taking on their part to do it,
So there are plenty of others that have already kind of
are moving in that direction.
That's great.
Yeah,
That is a movement. That's a positive
It is
movement
a
that
movement.
I can get behind. Absolutely.
it is. And, you know, obviously we're not in the building quite yet, but another big part is that we want to offer temporary housing and foster housing for victims of domestic violence, homelessness, military active leave, and sudden medical illness. So again, those dogs aren't just being brought to the shelter because they don't have any family to take them in or whatever
Right.
the case may be, but to be able to offer 30, 60, 90 days, if you need more than that, it's a case-by-case basis. But, you know, I mean, statistically, we know people in domestic violence situations a lot of the time don't leave
Right.
because they don't want to leave their pets.
That's why I don't leave.
Yeah.
So
Cheryl comes after me. God forbid I come home with the wrong thing from the grocery store. It's a bad day for me.
now does
oh my goodness.
But
so,
it's true though.
do those type of facilities, so like what you have in mind, is it also look to kind of have like a doggy daycare type setup just to support, like say I have a job change, and now that's no longer going to permit me to have the animal because maybe I'm working overnight or whatever. It's just I'd love to keep the animal, but my job doesn't permit it or something. I need someone to care for my dog during these hours. Could or would something like that kind of
It's-
help in the adoption
I
retention?
mean, that's a brilliant idea. It's not on our plan.
Yeah.
That's a whole additional space, and staffing that's needed. Doesn't mean it can't happen down the road, depending on need. It's about getting out into the community, seeing what people need. So the thoughts that I was just giving were more on a temporary basis. If you're homeless in the winter, you can't bring your dog to the shelter, we can take the dog for 3 months. Obviously, a domestic violence situation, military active leave can be even longer. I think those would be more of our long-term fosters who would sign up to do something like that. And then a medical illness can be short or long-term. But, if you have an elderly person or not going suddenly into the hospital and they're the only caretaker,
That's one of my
it's-
worst fears.
it's nice to know that there's a place you can potentially go and
Right.
have your dog cared for.
That's my worst fear is like we ever became homeless. I know that I have friends that would take us in, but let's just say worst case scenario is I would live in my car if I could afford to have my car with my dogs. You know what I mean? But there's some people who just can't do that. And, that wigs me out to no end. I have these triggers that you don't know really you have until you get into this business. And then you become desensitized to certain things, but then you become overly sensitive to something else. And it's just weird because for me, it kind of moves around. And, what I do for work, I see a lot of homeless. And, you see them with dogs. And that's heartbreaking because in a split second, because of how they're living, that animal could be taken away.
Yep.
And sometimes it's not even something they
Right.
did. You know what I mean? And
or you might just have to say goodbye to the animal.
Yeah.
And neither one of them is good. It's gonna be it's bad. It's horrible.
yeah.
And yeah, because of
Right. And
their
so
situation.
it's shifting to say, well, before we take this dog away from you, what can we do to keep
Right.
it with you?
Right.
It's a simple question. They love their dogs. I mean, you're talking military. They need that companionship. They shouldn't, have to get rid of their dogs because they're serving our country. It just doesn't make any sense.
And that happens quite a bit. I just had a person reach out for me a few weeks ago, her daughter had somebody who was, and I think she was coming from Colorado, which is ironic. We were just talking about that. She had somebody who was supposed to watch her dogs for her, 2 of them. Apparently, they're not real dog friendly, but they're okay together. They're not okay with cats. So that you start knocking those blocks out, and you're
Right.
like, okay, now
Makes the pool smaller.
yeah.
Mhm.
And the person that said they were going to watch him bailed like literally at the last possible second. So out there in YouTube land, if you're going to promise somebody you're going to watch someone's dog or cat or whatever, let it be known that you are in a very you're helping out in such a way you have no idea, because that devastation of getting that phone call saying, okay, now what do I do now? I mean, again, I'm blessed. I have people who I could call in long-term, short-term.
Right.
Again, there's people out there that don't have that option.
Yep.
And if you're in the military too, you're probably moving around a lot. You don't have a permanent home base. I met a guy yesterday at the camp. He's actually living in the camper next to us, so he could be closer to his family. Like he's stationed at Westover, but his family's in New Hampshire. Doesn't want them to really have to move. So this poor guy is living in his camper.
It's like a halfway point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'll be there for the whole rest of the year until it's time to go. And then he's going to travel from New Hampshire all the way to work every single day. So his life, that quality of life is going to be horrible. But, I asked him, what's that like? He's like, he hasn't lived in his house. I want to say he said since 2009. Whatever he does for the military, which I didn't ask, but prevents him from being home. So he's only home like a couple of weeks out of the whole year.
Right.
So
I mean,
So then it's
he
like, sure,
kinda
on top of that,
Yeah.
you're just going to have to get rid of your dog because
right.
we need you. And, that it's not the way it should be.
But,
Yeah.
but that guy, if he had an animal, you'd think the family would keep the animal. Like I think it's
So-
Sure.
so they
It's
did.
completely
More-
circumstantial.
They had
yeah,
a
more
little-
single people, or
Yeah.
or maybe just like a person and the spouse just doesn't want the animal and they only have it because. So it's just like, well, if you're going off to war, or not shouldn't say war, but
Yeah.
Right.
if you're going off to on assignment, well, the dog's gone or whatever. That'd be pretty messed up. But
Yeah. And you have a really good track record for building big facilities or getting the money to build a big facility.
Yeah, so I co-founded and was president of BARC, or the Belchertown Animal Relief Committee, in 2015. We needed a new facility. All we had was a dog pound
Yep.
in town. It was awful. Like, I still have nightmares about it. And we were able to run a successful capital campaign and work really closely with the town. I mean, Belchertown was like phenomenal. Like, talk about a dog or an animal loving town. They just rose to the occasion and built a beautiful new animal control facility that houses dogs, houses cats. I think the Boy Scouts put a paddock in the back for loose farm animals that are, I mean, just
it's gorgeous.
that's pretty cool.
Phenomenal.
You were someone was telling me about it. It must
Yeah,
have
it
been
was
you,
gorgeous. Yeah.
And I went back to visit the other day just to take a look again because, when you dream big.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to kind of hone in on my reality of the size of the building that I wanted because I want everything.
Right.
But, going there and remembering that you don't need a huge space to be able to function and get what you need done. I mean, it's perfect in there for what the town needs. And I'm really, really proud of it. And they're doing well, and BARC is still doing great and raising tons of money to support the facility.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just like that on a little bit of a bigger scale because I don't have like the town, the
Right.
specific town behind me to help with, their DPW did so much of the building.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So it was much of a lower cost for
Mm-hmm.
the organization to have to raise.
Now, is that something you're looking to or hoping to do with your current project? Is kind of gain that backing of a certain town or area where you'll get that type of support?
The reason I'm so focused on Hampshire County is because I live here. And I do still have young children, and I do still have a full-time job on top of what I'm doing. So it just makes the most sense for me, for it to be most efficient for me and realistic for me to have it, located somewhere within a half hour of where I live, which is in Belchertown on the Amherst line. Wherever I wind up, it will be supporting the whole county and potentially beyond into the other 2 counties, or,
Right.
you got to see where we go, but you have to start somewhere. And Hampshire County is where I plan to start. And it doesn't mean that I won't have a town behind me, depending on where, I'd love to build in Belchertown. I know the community is animal loving and welcoming to that. It's just a matter of finding the right place and being able to do it.
Yeah, that's a tough. I mean, we tried. Cheryl tried getting a dog park in town here at one time, and that got shut down like faster than you can blink. Nobody. It's funny, man. We have enough liquor stores, pizza shop, and Chinese restaurants in this town to choke a horse.
Right.
But yet we can't get a facility to help out animals.
Well, there's no tax revenue in a dog park, really. So
right.
So is it that they didn't want to provide land or
Yeah, I'd
like-
have to ask her what the
Yeah.
it was a long time ago, but I remember how defeated she felt afterwards.
It's tough. It's land, it's liability, and then you have all the people who just say, we don't want to hear dogs barking.
Yeah.
You have to be so far away from residential. So for me, I'm looking for either a commercial area or like a 30-acre lot.
Right.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
And even commercial, you can still run into issues because there could be a residence within a certain distance that's going to show up and say,
Right,
no,
yeah,
this
like-
is
Yeah.
just going to,
like those mixed use areas?
right.
Well,
Yeah.
my aunt was one of the leaders behind Dufresne's dog park.
That place is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a nice park.
A couple times we've been there. That's when the dog came back with fleas.
Oh, man.
They all do. It's
Yeah.
just, it's the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's funny. One of the funny things that when you have a dog and you're either walking down a trail or you go to a dog park, it is really cool how that breaks the ice with somebody else. And, it doesn't matter who you are or whatever, you have a common denominator, which is your dogs. And those conversations happen more smoothly. And I love that. I think I have
Me
more
too.
fun at dog parks than I think my dogs do.
I mean, I don't even need a dog. I'm like the weirdo on the street who doesn't have my dog with me. I went, to Nantucket on vacation, and that's like a dog explosion there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everyone has black labs and yellow labs and chocolate labs and golden retrievers and all of these great dogs. And I'm just like, hi, can I pet your dog? Can I pet your dog? And they're like, oh, he just got out of the water. He might shake on you. I'm like, I don't care.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. See, I think my dog
Bring it on.
my dog supports my introversion because he's an asshole and I can't bring him anywhere where there's going to be other dogs and sometimes even other people. So like we just have to go alone. Like we have to go places where I don't think there's going to be any other dogs or very few.
Yeah.
And so I don't have any of that. Like those conversations, those like, oh, hey, my dog likes your dog. I don't get any of that.
You
It's
don't
like,
get it.
it's like, I'm going to hold him. Just go walk by over there.
Yeah.
I got it.
That's funny.
Because he just wants to dominate everything.
Right.
But you're a good dog owner. We've had to adjust our lives to our dogs. Every single dog that we've had to make an adjustment for that dog. But that's part of the commitment.
Yeah. We had
Yeah.
a German Shepherd, Cheyenne. She was my girl, and losing her was tough. That was a brutal day. I still feel like it was yesterday, but we lived in Springfield at the time, and I trained her that anybody came close to the fence because we had little kids.
Mm-hmm.
That it was time to go to DEFCON 4, and she did she did a phenomenal job with that. Nobody came anywhere near our house, but as we moved and we came here, and my fault, she couldn't shut it off. And so we had to be careful who we had over, put her in the room when certain people came over. And then we got Samson, and we did the exact opposite with him. We made him into a 100-pound teddy bear,
He is.
and he just thinks he's the mayor of our town.
He's awesome.
And but now, I think if someone broke in, he'd be like, whoa, don't break in. I'll get the door for you. You know what I mean? You got any like sandwiches in there or anything? And then we got Luna. So talking about making an adjustment, we got Luna from, we did a favor for a detective in Ludlow.
Satan's dog, you mean?
Yes.
Aww.
She
Not
is.
Luna.
If you listen
my
carefully, you hear the
girl.
omen in the background. She is. And here's the thing. She is daddy's little girl. I mean, when I come home from work, she is all about daddy. When I go to bed, she wants to cuddle. I mean, she's all about me all the time.
Yep.
But God
Until
forbid.
I show up.
Oh, so today, I swear to God, You're the only really one she does that
I know, which is why I'm obsessed with her. She makes me feel great.
Oh, does she like you?
She
oh
loves
my
me.
God,
She
listen.
loves me.
The
It's
sounds she
like
makes.
warms my heart.
No one else makes her do that sound. I mean, and how long was she doing it
It's
for?
very special.
Yep.
Yeah, she gets excited. It makes me feel so good.
So you showed her to me one time when I was afraid to pet her because I thought I was going to
Yeah.
lose a finger.
Well, she was
You
looking at you
might.
like, a little closer, man, a little closer. And then she lashed out like a
Those
piranha.
digits look delicious.
But that's, making the adjustment.
Yeah.
If anybody else would actually have adopted her, I really believe firmly that she would be in. Maybe they would have got rid of her one more time to someone else, but eventually that would have came to an end, and they would have had to put her down. And we, being in animal rescue for as long as we have, we were able to really just say, okay, we got this.
Yeah.
And
So you adjust. You lock her up when you know you need to, and
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was
We do the same.
I felt really good too because of the person that we helped out. She has a dog that the owner tried to kill. Was it a hammer?
Jameson?
Yeah, Jameson. I don't
Yes.
remember what he tried to
It
do
was
it
a
with.
hammer.
It was a hammer, yeah. And then he literally threw him at of an embankment down the street.
Ugh.
So she got called to the scene, and she took the dog and raised a lot of money to get that dog healed up. And she paid a pretty penny for that to help. But again, it's that dedication. And she has other dogs, and she started a YouTube channel. And I have just a phenomenal amount of respect for her. So when she came to our owner of the rescue and said, I need a favor, Sean looked at me and he goes, and I'm like, yep, I'll do it. And I didn't know nothing about the dog. It was just the fact that, of the respect I have for her. And
so this was her dog before the.
so it was her aunt's dog, I believe.
Oh, okay, but she was the one that kind of had to take it on or
Yeah. So,
look to find a home for it.
yeah. So Luna was in foster care for, I think, a couple families, and then finally got to her. And she's just a handful, and so it was kind of sad. She came with a letter, and we read the letter that day. And you got to be careful when you take another dog because you don't want to keep calling the other person and letting them. I mean, you really so bad want to let them know how they're doing, but that can create a whole other issue down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know her, so I don't know if that would have happened or not. But we found the letter, and I'm like, you know what? It's been a while. Let's reach out to her and let her know that Luna's really prospering here and doing well. And then come to find out she had passed away.
Oh,
I really made me sad. Like, so, if we believe there's a place where you can go, she already knows that Luna's doing great.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it
Right.
was just that it really knocked us for like a punch in the gut for the entire day.
wow.
I went to work. I kept calling Cheryl. I'm like, I tell you.
Because you finally decided to do the update.
Yeah.
Even though you weren't sure how it'd go, but then it was that's
And I don't have the same job as I used to before, so I don't run into that detective a lot at all, actually, since that whole thing happened. So I haven't got a chance to even tell her how Luna's doing. But, there's that gratification that you have internally.
Yeah.
You're doing the right thing. And
Yeah.
again, we just know how, and that's the thing, that's a whole other issue. But like you have people who take on like a Belgian Malinois. Those dogs are great until you own one, and then if you're not trained on how to actually handle a dog like that, you're in a world of shit.
Right.
And then that dog goes away to someone else, and then that's how the process starts.
Yep.
So I think people really have to kind of look inside and say, yeah, that dog's cool, but am I equipped to handle that kind of dog?
Yeah, did you do the research? Like, what is it going to take to train this animal? What is it going to take to care for it? How big is it going to get? All that stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Like, there's some dogs that I think are cool, and I research it, and I'm like, oh, hell no.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
like something just the, some of the dominance factors and stuff that certain, dogs have. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. And that's a really cool dog,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people also struggle with the idea of putting the dogs away, where that's where I differ because, I'm more doing it for the dog safety
Right.
than I am for the people
Right.
visiting. I don't want to put them in a situation
Right.
where they're going to get hurt or somebody else is going to get hurt. I mean, you're talking hours out of a day, out of a year.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
That they're going to be crated or put in the basement for a holiday. But it just makes everything so much more peaceful and less stressful. If my niece is over, they're little, I don't know how my dogs are going to react to that. I don't want to know. I don't need to know.
Right.
They're fine downstairs. They're safe. They're happy. you know, it's that's an easy adjustment for me.
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean,
able to
we put Luna in our room and we put some music on. We have a little fan to drown out the rest of the noise. I usually open up the door and she's on the
Hey,
bed
she's
sleeping.
Just
totally
lounging?
chill.
Yeah.
What kind of music does she like?
You know, I think she's more like a punk rock person.
I see
you know,
that.
I don't know.
I see that.
Cheryl puts dog music on for them all the time. It's the funniest thing. So like,
What's dog music?
I don't. It's some of
Is
it's
It's
there
like
like-
made for dogs.
Yes.
Like that's
Is
So
there
what
like
it's
is there like an
classical.
iTunes or like Spotify playlist? Or?
I don't know if they have their own playlist, but she tends to think that they really look forward to this kind of music. Where I don't know.
Nate, my husband, hates it because I always leave on Mellows 80s Gold.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's like, what are you doing to them? And I'm like, what? It's good 80s classic love songs. What, like, there's nothing better than that.
They know. They
You
know good
know?
music.
Come home, the dog's got a mullet.
Yeah, you put a
Right.
little Motley Crue on for them, you know, and they're good to go.
He likes to leave movies on.
Oh really?
Yeah. And I'm like, just make sure there's no dogs in the movies because that's going to stress them out. You
That's
know,
true.
I don't
That
want
is
like
true.
all this barking happening. But yeah, he's like, yeah, I left Batman on for them.
Ah, that's a good flick.
Dogs
Yeah.
barking on the TV doesn't bother my dog, but doorbells do.
Oh, doorbells are like
On the TV?
Yeah, that-
My dog, yeah.
That's
but,
funny.
But
Yeah.
dog like doesn't. If dogs are barking, all kinds of animals, doesn't matter. He doesn't even peek his head up. There's a doorbell on the TV. He loses his shit
That's awesome.
for 20 minutes.
Wow.
And I'm like, it was the TV.
yeah. They're
Our
like just in
first dog
case.
didn't watch TV or recognize anything. All three of our dogs now watch TV.
Do they really?
They just like, if a noise comes on that they, you know, that piques their interest, they're just like
I'm fascinated with that.
totally fascinated with it.
He doesn't.
It's
He
crazy.
doesn't watch it. He just if that one sound.
Just the doorbell.
The cat watches it sometimes.
Like
It
you ever
makes
do
sense.
the
We had to get rid of our doorbell when we had babies
yeah.
because Foster, anytime the doorbell rang, he just would go crazy. And it was like, all right, we're pulling these out because baby's sleeping and nothing messes with the baby sleeping, you know?
Nothing.
And we haven't put them back.
Yeah, nothing beats the 12 Days of Christmas with the dogs barking. You know
Yeah.
that's my favorite one. I play that every year for them. And you know what's funny? Cheyenne used to know it was Christmas, and get so excited. She was like one of the kids. 3 o'clock in the morning, she'd be on the edge of the bed.
Aw.
she knew something was downstairs for her. We used to always get her a big bag of stuff, and
Yeah.
she'd rip right through it. You know what I mean?
That's so sweet.
It's kind of funny how they know certain things.
Yeah.
You know, in Samson, I'll tell you, he's got vocabulary down. I would love to know how many words that we could actually prove that he knows.
Yeah.
But you know, he'll hear certain things, like you're having a conversation with somebody else, and he'll look at you like,
He's like, I heard
I
bacon.
know what that's
Yeah, I
about.
heard
you
that.
know?
I heard you say bacon.
I used to have a friend of mine that used to have a toy poodle. Well, it wasn't a toy poodle; it was the standard poodle. And I swear to God, he is my witness, that dog was this close to saying something. I used to just look at him and go, "Come on, man, just let it out."
Yeah.
Just let it out.
And he's like, it's the weirdest thing. So one day for Halloween, they put glasses on him. And just that little thing was the perfect thing. So they actually took a picture of him and they made it into like one of these pictures and put it up in the house.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And when you walk in there, you just look at the picture and go, God, you just,
it makes sense.
yeah.
It's the most eloquent poodle I've ever
Right.
seen.
Like, do I let him drink? Let him smoke something? Like, he's
Yeah.
going to say something.
Yeah.
Right.
Should I get him a velvet robe? I don't know.
So
That's great.
what's your timeline look like for all this after you come back? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I'm gone September through mid-October. So for the past couple of months, you know, once we got our nonprofit status, I kind of took off from there to try to get as much done as possible, kind of the boring work.
Yep.
So not that our board is boring, but I just finished our board, which is great. It's very diverse in profession, which is wonderful. Actually, your daughter Lauren
I know.
is
She's
joining
gonna
us,
come home
which
with another
is
animal.
very, very exciting. She's the only one with vet experience on the board, so that's wonderful.
Thank you for that, by the way. For
No,
bringing her on. That was really nice.
I'm honored. I think
Yeah.
it was wonderful that she reached out to me and very happy to have her. So we did the board and then, you know, working on all the liability paperwork and the foster platforms and the volunteer platforms. And then meanwhile, visiting different properties, working with a realtor, you know, and kind of completing the strategic plan and the mission with the board and getting that out there. So it's kind of the boring stuff.
And how many
but
people on the board?
there are 7 of us.
Okay, good.
And, you know, the difference between whether we buy a building or lease, a spot in a building versus purchasing land and building, the money is very different between those two. So we kind of need to figure out which direction we're going in to solidify our capital campaign to raise those funds for it.
Yeah.
'Cause that upfront cost is considerably different
Yes,
depending on which direction you go. Yeah.
correct. And much less expensive than buying and building on your own.
Yes.
If you have
Right,
something
yeah.
that you just need to renovate, still going to be expensive, still going to need money,
Yeah, that part doesn't end.
that part doesn't end. We'll still be running a large capital campaign. It'd be a success for the organization if we could build 2 years out of expenses. And so we'll see, if this building comes through for us, that I've been checking out and working with and potentially partnering with a vet to have the upstairs and our rescue downstairs. That's pretty exciting.
That's a home run.
That's a home run.
That's a home run.
Considering that they want to help and they'll be right upstairs. It's very visible. It's local. So it's just, we're going through the logistics now of, can we clear, it's up against some conservation land. So, being able to clear space and have outdoor space for the dogs is a must.
Right.
They're not going to have indoor-outdoor kennels at this facility, so it's a must to have an area. So that's kind of the part we're waiting on to see how we can refigure the land that we have without cutting, or how much back we can cut until we can't anymore. And so it could be taking off sooner than I expected. If this opportunity is the right opportunity, then I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a great partnership.
It would
like
be a
mutually
wonderful.
beneficial. You couldn't
And
ask for a
it
better,
would be with
better
my vet,
co-tenant.
and
Yeah.
it just happened through conversation. Like, it was one of these things where it was like we were talking about one thing, which led to another thing, which led to her saying, you should check out this building, and me saying, I was there last week, and
wow.
I felt like it's 9,000 square feet. Could I fill it? 100% I could fill it. But can an organization like mine take on that overhead cost for a 9,000 square foot building? It was just like too much,
Right.
too stressful for me to think about.
Yep.
But, the realtor was like, well, you could lease it. And I'm like, that's a really small niche to find somebody who's going to want to move into a dog rescue building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and so it turned
into
out.
my yoga studio with dogs barking outside.
Right, exactly.
Well, you know what? You could actually. That
You could
just-
do dog yoga
yeah.
and all
You
that.
could do that. Yeah. I
All right.
mean, it just was, and she was like, well, we're looking at it and we want to lease it
Yeah.
to a kennel or an organization. So it just was one of those like, ooh, the universe came together. So we'll see if it works out.
My entrepreneur brain just came up with like 50 things we could do with that building already. I mean, think about like yoga. You could have a yoga. You could
Yeah.
do like the wine tasting or
Well-
the wine painting with dogs. Like there's so
Right.
many things you could do with dogs.
I told you I was in Colorado last
Yep.
week. So the day we flew out late Friday night, but we spent the day in Denver, like half the day till we had to go to the airport. And I paid $12 per kid for them to go into a cat cafe.
Oh, no kidding.
And it was just,
Brilliant.
it's just a cafe, and their whole thing is around adoption.
Right.
So you pay $12
yeah.
to go in, and you all the cats there are adoptable, are up for adoption, and they had like 30 of them, and they do they serve coffee and stuff, and I think sometimes they have pastries and whatnot, but really it's just you come in, you hang out with the cats. The entry fee to just chill with 30 cats is $12 for 2 hours. And if you want, you buy something like, my kid and his girlfriend, they both bought, I don't know, some like a T-shirt or, something. And all of it obviously goes towards
Right.
supporting that whole thing. But, there's another business idea. It's not a cat cafe. It could be
That is
just like,
brilliant, though.
whatever. Like, hey,
I
you
have
find
so
you're
many ideas, but like I said,
Yeah.
like you dream big and then you're like, okay, I got to like bring it down a little. I mean, I really wanted to have a community room that was open, for the public to rent for AA or OA or youth groups or like whatever it is. And then if they wanted, they could have a dog available.
like animal therapy.
Oh,
like,
that would
on
be
site.
sweet.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But obviously, depending on the space we wind up in, is we'll have to work from there to see, what sort of space we have to offer. But
Sure.
certainly, if we can't do it in-house, we'll be reaching out to the community to, partner up with schools and things like that.
Yeah.
That's another brilliant idea.
I'm a huge proponent for therapy dogs. I think, especially like in the court systems or what have you, hospitals, it's amazing. You watch some of these videos where someone who's been laid up, who has an animal at home that, can't see him, the joy they get when the dog comes in, that's phenomenal. I mean,
isn't it scientifically proven that your blood pressure drops
Yep.
almost immediately, like when you come in contact with your animal?
yeah, except for mine, because they all drive me bananas. Me and Cheryl always laugh. We have the island of misfit dogs here. We do have an eclectic bunch.
I think it's perfection.
Sometimes we get in bed at night. I'm like, and she's, the wife has to take care of these guys way more than I do. And I'm gone most of the day. So she's, it gives her some purpose. And they just take advantage of her.
Yeah.
Every chance they get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They do to me too.
One of the funniest things they do is they'll go outside and she'll call them back in. They all stay there, because they know she's going to say, "Do you want a treat?" And they'll just wait. And then, "You want a treat?" "Yep, yes, we do."
Yes, we do. Allow me to enter.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to do programs like Dog for a Day. You're feeling down, come grab a dog for the day.
Oh my God, that
benefits the dog,
brilliant.
Benefits the person, or weekend sleepovers, gets the dog out of the shelter. Again, benefits the person, gets the dog some, visibility with an Adopt Me thing. Like it's, want to be able to engage the community. That's a really, really important part.
Now, what about the kids? Are they excited about this?
They are. They're thrilled.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've known for years. They just keep asking, "When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to be picking you up from school and you're going to be coming to the shelter and doing your homework." It's going to change things.
You're not going to be working.
Not going to be working. I'm not going
You're just going to have Lauren sign some paperwork that she is not to bring home any animals like she did today. So I see her walking down the driveway with a cat carrier. And I'm like,
God, but it's the cutest kitten ever.
No, she is going to be in jail one of these days for hoarding animals. You watch. I mark my word now. You will see her on the news like 20 years from now, being dragged out of their house forcefully. They find 60 different
Cats
animals.
everywhere.
3,000 animals.
Yeah.
So we were talking when Jenny got here today a while ago. I started seeing all this Chewy stuff come to the door. I'm like, "What is all that stuff?" She's like, "Whatever you do, don't open it." I'm like, "Oh, that's not good." So, of course, Cheryl tells me, she always makes sure she tells me at the last minute, right? So, and it's by design because she knows. So, I see Lauren doing all these things around the house. So, I know something's up. So, she goes, "Dad, I want a cat." I'm like, "Not happening, man. We have 2 cats. We have 4 dogs." She has a room full of animals, rabbits, and...
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she does a really good job with them. I mean, they're very well taken care of. Her room's just, pretty spotless for the most part. So today she comes home with a cat, and I know in her mind she thinks she's keeping that cat here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tolerate that for a couple of days, fostering it or whatever. But you watch, just like Liam. Liam came in one day, and these two already conspired with each other that we're going to keep Liam.
I just have this feeling that like in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna come in and you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, this is our new cat."
Not happening.
The cat's gonna be sitting on your lap.
Yeah,
it.
It's gonna be like,
"Look at our new kitty."
like 2 podcasts from now, it's gonna be like, "Oh, so this is the new cat." And
Yeah,
you'd be
she's
sitting
like,
there like Dr.
me and my
Evil.
boyfriend are going to move in together soon. I'm like, it might be sooner than you think.
Right. I also have to take some responsibility for Liam.
Really?
I was on Team
Are you
Liam.
into this too?
I just couldn't keep him, and selfishly wanted him to be somewhere I could visit him.
Oh, Johnny.
He's like my little nephew. I love that.
You might
dog.
never be able to come on the podcast
So
ever again.
I was definitely part responsible for that.
Damn it. Well, you're lucky
Yeah.
I like you or I'd be upset. I knew it.
Liam's pretty cool though.
He's
Like, he's
awesome.
chill.
He's a funny dude. So like him and Scout go at it all the time. He wants to play and Scout's old. He wants no part of it.
Yeah.
So Liam will be in his face and he does this thing where he hits him with his paw. And Liam's, for a little dog, that dog has some power. I mean, look at my arms. This is for him wrestling with me the other night.
I was wondering about that.
And I should be wrestling with him like that, but you got to wrestle sometimes.
Well, yeah.
And the problem with wrestling with him is if Luna's anywhere around, she tries to protect me. And she's got to know at some level that we're just playing, but she has to keep in mind, she rules the roost in this house.
She's like the ref.
I was going to say,
Like
she's in control.
Yeah.
She's there making sure it's not getting out of control.
Yeah.
She's the sheriff in this joint, let me tell you. And these dogs get out of line, she tells them. And then they're scared of her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But also, I feel like Liam was really good for Luna. Like they were
Definitely good. Yeah,
really
I mean,
good
in the long
playmates.
run,
Like
yeah.
their energy levels were really similar.
Like, so for the most part, they all chill together. Like when other people aren't here.
Yeah. Yep. They.
So it's really just other people that Luna's like, F that.
Oh yeah. Luna's like,
Yeah.
yeah. If you're a human other than Jenny,
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the weird noises come out.
I'm telling you, I've never heard these noises come. She was just like,
She was just whining and so
if she
excited.
had pants on, she would have wet her pants. She would have peed herself.
I think she did.
And she'll tolerate my mom and Cheryl's mom a little bit. Like, she'll look at my mother-in-law like, and my mother, like, she keeps them kind of like, and she'll come up every
Yeah.
now and then and just sniff him and then walk
Yeah,
back.
but just don't touch me.
This is the first day.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because I'm just special, but I also think that I was really patient with Luna.
Yeah.
I pretty much ignored her
Yep.
until she started to come up to me. I just pretended she wasn't there. I never locked eyes with her. I just let her do her thing, knowing that she was really stressed out. And then one day she was actually excited to see me, and it was like pure love after that. I don't know. So I don't know if it was that, just giving her proper space. And
So like if she wasn't locked up and I came in, is she just like balls out gonna like come after me?
You're done.
So it's not even like if I go towards her, just
Have you ever seen a rabid raccoon or a rabid squirrel come flying at you? You ever see those movies where they go right for the jugular vein?
yeah.
That's pretty much her. You know,
Just because I walked in the house.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she like, it's funny because I'll go to get her and she's literally sweating and she's like boiling hot. Like her body goes into overdrive
yeah.
and she
Goes
has
into kill
the,
mode.
Oh, I'm a firm believer that she'd take down an elk. I really do. If you gave her the opportunity, I think she'd do it.
Yeah. I might bet on her for that.
Yep. Because
Yeah.
we have foxes around here and we had coyotes for a little while and she'd be in that yard and she just like, you let her out, the first thing she does is do the parameter. Like she is the guard dog. And then you got Samson out there, you know, getting ready to unlock the latch
Samson's
on the
Right.
thing.
Samson's my boy, man.
Coyotes, my buddies.
Yeah, come on in.
I can't stand the
Hop
coyotes.
in a hot tub.
They get the dogs going like 3 a.m. I got 3 howling dogs in my bedroom.
Oh, yeah. You live more out in the woods than I do. So you get it. Yeah.
So annoying.
I saved a fox once. So I think it was last year or the year before. I think it was last year. So I'm outside doing something and I don't realize, I was not outside. That was a lie. I was in the house doing something and Cheryl runs in and grabs me and she's like, oh, there's the fox. And then she had said, oh, I think there's a dog somewhere on the other side of the street. Well, it wasn't a dog. It was a coyote and he was
Oh.
chasing the fox. So I just happened to be right there. And I'm like, not today, man. Because we love the foxes. Like
Yeah.
every year they bring the pups. And
Right.
I don't know if it's the same mom and dad. I know they don't live that long, but I tend to think like this is a happy family every year. And so I got in between the coyote and the fox. This is a true story.
Dang.
It's a true story. And I'm yelling at the coyote to get away, and he's looking at me like not happening.
Yeah.
So I was ready to throw down. And I swear to you that this fox knew I was trying to help him. Because he was like, he didn't know where to go, but he was, every time I moved, because the coyote started circling me, waiting for me to turn my back.
Oh, so he was like using
Yep.
you as a blocker.
And a lot of times it wasn't just one that showed up here. Sometimes you would hear you'd only see one, but you could hear the other ones because they don't hunt alone. Like a lot of times one goes out and then the rest will be right around
Yeah.
there somewhere, you know?
Right. Well, that's what you hear is them calling each other
Right.
so that they do congregate.
Yeah.
But they're normally alone until that happens.
So I'm looking at him like we're locking eyes, man. It was like, you ever watched the movie The Gray with Liam Neeson?
Yes.
That's what it was like. Like we're going, and I could hear the noise up at the top of the hill, and I'm
Yep.
like, oh, and I see what he's doing. So finally, he just gave up and went away, and the fox just was like,
Thank you.
wouldn't leave me. I'm like, man, go before he comes back.
Yeah. Right.
But I think there was a den at the top of the hill, and I'm pretty sure they came back because right after a couple of weeks later, we didn't see the pups anymore. So pretty sure that they probably got them.
You didn't just grab Luna and be like,
Yeah. Go, yeah. Take out that coyote.
What we should have done was tied her up out there
Yeah.
where the den was and
Yeah,
let her,
right outside the
give her a
den.
20-foot lead and let her go to work.
right.
Come back to like a bunch of coyote skeletons.
Oh, I'm telling you,
Oh,
she's
man.
and I always tell people, I could show you millions of pictures. My phone is like literally Luna. every other
I
picture.
mean,
And if people could see how she is, like, so her biggest thing is she wants to groom me all the time. My head is like a big salt lick.
right.
I sit down, she jumps up, starts licking my head. And we always say Luna is very thorough. She will clean every inch of your head 10 times over, and especially my eyeballs. She
Oh
gets
my
right in there.
goodness.
I love it.
The eyeballs, I wouldn't be able to.
Oh, she gets right in there, man. Yep.
Yeah.
And she's also a feet licker. She loves to lick your feet.
Nate would not tolerate that. Even if it was my feet. The noise of dogs licking really gets to him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they need to clean themselves. Like, and he's like, stop it. Stop licking. You know, like he just,
I think my old cat used
Drives
to
him
clean my
nuts.
feet. Not my dog. I don't think he's.
you mean exfoliate your feet if it was a cat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the rough
yeah.
tongue, you
or
know.
tickle, whatever.
Right.
Depending on how much you can stand. But yes, exfoliate. I want to say my cat did that. It
It's
was
crazy.
freaking weird, but you know.
And if for whatever reason, too, Luna would always sit down. She had really good manners when she came here. Like when she listened, her manners were great. And I remember one day, and for whatever reason, I never had her give me a paw. And then Cheryl's like, "You should really ask her to give you a paw." And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "You got to do it." So I said, "Give me your paw." And she gives this I call it pretty paw.
Aw.
She curves it a little bit and like gently
Puts
puts
down
it
like
on.
a princess.
Yeah. And she just holds
Like
it
she's
there.
expecting you to kiss it.
Your Majesty.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. That's so funny.
That's sweet.
Yeah. And so I do
Aw.
that all the time. Like, give me pretty paw. And you can tell she does it under protest. She doesn't like to do it. But it's that very gentle little paw. She
Right.
puts it in there. I just melt.
And she's rolling her eyes while
yeah,
she's
she
doing
gets
it.
anything she
it's
wants
partially
after that.
looking down to you, partially in protest. Like,
Right.
just
Fine.
let's get this over with.
Yes.
And it's one of those dogs where we have to be loud with her quite a bit for her to, because she gets in that mode of,
I'm gonna kill somebody.
yeah, and I don't want to,
Oh, that mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Yeah.
You know.
and I don't want to give her a shot collar or a correction collar.
Yeah.
I've really tried to stay away from that route. We had a citronella candle or collar for a little while, and she burned through that. Like, I swear to you, in
Cheryl
20
was
minutes.
telling me. That's so funny.
You could hear this thing. So she's out in the yard, right? And so I'm training her, and we bring her next to the fence, and then we do the beep, and then bring her back, and
Yeah.
she's like looking at me like, "What are you doing?" Usually you just let me go, So this is like going on for like an hour, back and forth. Looks like she's finally getting it, and the first person to walk by, roll right for that, and the thing starts going. You can hear it, and she's, and then next thing you know, she's going crazy, and we don't hear nothing anymore. I'm like, she really burned
It
through
ran
this thing
out.
already.
It ran out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I fill the thing back up, and then we get her in the house, and so I took it off her. But I should have kept her. I should have kept it on because that front window is like, if she can see 3 streets down,
Yeah.
that person is just as much danger as if you're in my
Right.
yard. And she literally burnt the battery out.
Like barking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I'm like, oh, this is no good because if I give her another kind of correction collar, I don't know what that's going to look like. So now we're back to the treats, and she'll stop for a second. So we know that, even after all these years of having her, we're finally starting to get through at a.
She can divert.
She
at
can
least
divert
for
now.
a short period.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it might be another 5 years before we get her to do it, but we are in it to win it. So it's crazy,
Yeah.
So my dog, he barks at pretty much everything, but especially if it's a truck, and he can hear a delivery vehicle of any sort, FedEx, UPS, or the mail, anytime they're on my street. So he gets anxious as soon as he hears it come on my street, and completely out of sight. So we had like just the collar that just beeps, does the high pitched sound that they don't like. I would never get a shot collar or anything like that. And I looked at the citronella ones, but it just was like the high pitched sound, and he didn't like it, so it calmed him down. But then he was like the Velociraptors from Jurassic Park, where he would test it every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
And once he realized he would kill the battery, then it was just balls out again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So
And-
smart.
So like it never like trained him to not do it. It just trained him to not do it while the collar was working.
Right.
So then and I don't know how many times I had to have him replaced under warranty because he burnt him out, or the battery. I used to buy the batteries in bulk. Finally, I just gave up, and he started to realize that especially now over the last year that I've been working from home. I don't want to hear. I work in my kitchen. We never used or in my dining room, I should say, because we never used our dining room for dining. So I just took that space and made it like an office. And the big window is like behind me in the living room, and he loses his shit. So now, like, I've banished him to my bedroom down the hallway so many times that now, like, when he gets amped up,
He just goes on his own.
he just goes. And I leave the door just open, and it's
Wow.
open so he can like nudge it open, and it closes behind him. And he can't even see what he wants to bark at out there, but he can hear it, and he knows I let him do it in there. So as long as once I tell him once, he's just like mopes down the hallway. He's
Yeah.
like, all right. And then when he's finally done barking, he scratches at the door, and I come let him out.
He's like, okay, I'm done.
Wow.
So it's like, but I can't I can't take him for a walk though. I'll die if I take him for a walk.
Yeah.
Like, but like all these other things, like I tried everything, and he just trained again. He just learned to wait till it didn't work anymore, and then he went crazy. Never learned to not actually do it, but now he's just like, well, I can do it here, I guess.
They do have selective,
Yeah.
like, it's not memory. Well, yeah, selective memory in a way.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah. And these guys, like, I remember Samson one time, my gate's a little hard to open.
Yep.
And I got that lock on purpose. So I was looking at him one day, and he's looking at the lock, and he's going back and forth, and I'm like, no way. So look at Cheryl, I go, he's trying to figure that lock out. Gets in there with his nose. Doop. It pops up and back in. And he shocked him for a minute. He's like, and then right from that moment, I'm like, okay, I'm going to Rockies. I'm going to get a new lock. And sure enough, he nailed it the second time. Boom.
Wow.
And he never wanted to leave.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
He
I'm
was
not
just trying to figure it out.
because no, my luck, he'll pop.
Yeah.
He'll be like the guy that breaks out of prison and brings the other three with him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know where he'll go. He'll just go next door. He loves Fred.
Yeah.
Next door. He'll just go visit. The other ones will just be gone.
Yeah.
He might take Scout with him. Scout might hang around now that he's older. But I'll never forget. We're walking Scout down there one day. He breaks the leash. Now, Scout's a runner, especially back then. He goes, and the only thing that stopped him was he wanted to go take a leak on the telephone pole. So I bear hug him like a football block.
Yeah.
Boom, I got him down. And he's looking at me like, what are you doing?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just,
I'm like, you're not doing it because, the next street over is the main
right.
street, and that could get ugly. So it gets crazy.
Well, Nate's putting up a 6-foot fence right now
Is he really?
because of Marty.
You got a jumper?
Oh,
Marty's
He's
a
just
jumper?
tall. He's if he's standing, he's as tall as me. I'm 5'4".
he's a big boy.
He's very tall, and he jumped the fence twice. I mean, it was a wire fence. It was about 4 feet. Never had a dog try to get over it. This winter,
He's like, here, hold my beer.
yeah. This winter, I found him teeter-tottering. He was stuck on it halfway. He's got these long, lanky legs, and this woman was cross-country skiing on the other side of the fence, and she's got her poles out. She's like, is he friendly? I'm like, he's dumb as bricks, and then he hopped the other side because he wants to go play with the neighbor kids.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, the neighbor kids are like, huge dog coming after me. So, yeah, I mean, he's sucking all the money out of us right now.
Oh, they
Because
are.
we've got at least an acre fenced in.
Oh, right.
And he's now replacing it with 6-foot fencing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a lot of fence.
It's a lot of fence.
Yeah.
During COVID, the hill out here.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to walk. Well, nobody used to want to walk up that hill. You'd have that one token person that, like I'm doing that. That was their thing. During COVID, though, everybody had nothing to do, so that was like the
Everybody
hill.
was outdoors. All of our favorite spots we couldn't go to anymore.
Yeah,
Because we do a lot of outdoor stuff. And yeah.
the amount of dogs that you walk by here now. So we know it's almost like they're on a time frame, right? So we're like, it's okay. It's 7:00. Mrs. So and so is coming with her dog. Luna, get upstairs.
Right.
Because she'll guard that window.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah. And it seems it's weird because some of the older people, she seems to go after them with just as much like vengeance.
Yeah. Age has no meaning.
No.
I will take you down.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. You have 3 altogether, right?
All these stories just make me want to be friends with her so much more. Like
I know.
It's funny.
So sad for you.
I know.
We'll have to give her a trazodone first, and then let her go from there.
Basically, she needs to be unconscious to be
Yeah.
friends with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, are there subconscious? Is it like, can it be like that movie with the chick where the guy was in the coma and she just went and visited him every day while you're sleeping?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then
What was that?
Or record yourself and play that for her music instead.
Yeah.
just let her listen to the podcast.
Hi Luna, this is Brett. Today we're
Just-
gonna read a
just-
book.
Just play the podcast while she's locked up.
We could do that.
And then
She
when I
might
talk
start
to her-
attacking me. Who knows? Your podcast sucks. So before I forget, we'll just we'll give the rescue a quick plug. If anybody wants to Google or get on Facebook while you're listening to
check it
this,
out.
so Facebook and Instagram, Better Together Dog Rescue, BetterTogetherDogRescue.org. How did you get the name?
That's a really good question. So, Better Together is our wedding song by
Is it
Jack
really?
Johnson. Yeah.
Nice.
And
My wife loves that man too.
we just we have a wall in our living room that has all 14 foster puppies that we've
Oh wow.
had on them, and then a sign above it. It says it's always better when we're together, and so it just kind of made sense to go that route.
Yeah.
And then the logo is I used to draw a sketch for the kids when they were little of our dog Foster, who was like an adorable little black mutt. And I used to just draw this silly little sketch because they would always want me to draw a picture of him so that they could color it in. And so I sent that sketch to my friend at Pioneer Media Works, and he digitized it for me. And so the logo is actually our dog Foster.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which is really sweet. So
Yeah.
both are very meaningful to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I love it when that comes together. You
Yeah.
know, because I remember trying to get a logo for here. You know, and you know the struggle I went the
Yeah.
first time. So you know, when you find something that really speaks to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at that, this is a great reminder, like every day, of what we're, you know, what you're doing and your goals. You know, it's just, it really is encompassing everything that you do. You know,
Yeah.
Exactly.
so I think
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
So you're getting there, kid.
Getting there.
It's not easy.
It's
and,
not easy,
No.
but
and you're putting a lot of hard
Right.
work into this. I mean, even to go away for as long as you're going to that's dedication.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, well, I shouldn't. No,
it's
not
crazy in a good way.
It's crazy in
Yeah.
a good way.
Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah,
exactly
no.
what I
I
meant.
mean, it's all going towards the hopeful success of this, you know. I mean, I have the motivation and I have the skills, and I know that there are people out there who are going to want to be a part of it, who are going to make it successful with me. So, it's really exciting.
I thought she was going to sound like Liam Neeson for a minute when he goes, "I have a special set of skills."
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
special set
I'll
of
find you.
skills. I don't know what his accent
I'll
is.
find a home for your dog.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, starting something like this from the ground up, not only does it take a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of other people to help that really need to share in that same vision.
Mhm.
And that's not always an easy thing to do. I mean, what I do for work is I need to have people share my vision for them, you know, and sometimes you have that disconnect, but you know, you just keep driving forward. And, you know, we've been to a lot of things together for rescue, and that's when you get to see the real power of
Mhm.
rescue, like in the unity of other rescues. You know what I mean? You know, we all have our little piece of the puzzle, but when you see like, I don't remember that one up in Millbury.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Oh, what is that called?
So
I don't remember off the top of my head,
I
but
can't remember what it was, but
yeah, we were there with Emma.
yeah,
The,
she
the
was
deaf,
blind. And, she was deaf. Yeah, she was a bulldog.
Yeah. White deaf bulldog. She was
Talking
so
about
sweet.
the sweetest thing. Like, so you couldn't get her attention for nothing, right?
Yeah.
You had to really touch her. And then she'd be like, what are we doing? You know, and then the minute you stop touching, okay, I'm going to go back over here.
Yeah.
She was so good.
My last dog was deaf. She was a Dalmatian.
Oh,
They're
really?
Aw.
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of inherently deaf.
Yeah.
And
I had a
Yeah.
Dalmatian growing up.
you know, I
She was
married.
crazy.
I
but
married
I
into
loved
my
her.
my Dalmatian.
Oh, you
Aw.
did?
Yeah. She was my wife's dog when I met her, and yeah, she was the sweetest thing. But yeah, unless you were well, she didn't have to choose not to listen to you, but if you yelled enough, you would get her attention, or if you stomped your foot, But then if she got out and she just didn't want to come back, you looked like a complete idiot
Yeah.
because you're not going to like call her
Right.
name.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you're just like waiting for her to look at you and point, so you can do point because you know it's all point commands, and she would just choose not to look at you. She's like, "No, I'm just gonna wander. Like I haven't smelled these bushes in a while." And like all the neighbors are like, "Oh, your dog's in my yard," and I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry. Like I can't yell at her. She doesn't hear me."
Yeah. You know, I didn't bring my laptop down here this time. It's one thing I forgot. I always gotta forget something. I like to look up some statistics on like how many dogs are adopted every year. God, I dropped the ball. I don't even have my phone. I left my phone upstairs.
I will say that in 2020, I believe it was around 675,000 dogs and cats that were euthanized, which
Wow.
is a very large number, but also drastically lower than 10 years ago.
Oh, sure.
Like the Best Friends launched the no kill movement 2025. So their goal is to have the entire country no kill by 2025. So I suggest you go check that out on the Best Friends website. It's phenomenal. So that's the only statistic I have for you today. But yeah, I mean, as far as, you know, and I know you know this too, there's way more good people, good animal lovers in this world than there are bad.
Yep.
And so many people want to help. It's just a matter of finding in what capacity that they can help.
Right.
I mean, I put out on our local Trash to Treasure page that I was looking for crates and blankets and towels, you know, to start storing those items. And yesterday I drove to 10 houses and picked up
Wow.
towels, blankets, bowls, crates. I mean, that's how they can help. And
Sure.
they want to.
Yeah.
And the messages I got back were, good luck, this is so great, you know. So it's just a matter of people finding their niche and in what capacity they want to or can help.
Right. Yeah, I mean, getting the feelers out there, that's the thing. Like, you know, like networking is a huge part of what we do. And it comes in waves, I think, too, you know. And that, I think that was the part that kind of always got me. You know, I actually found a picture of us when we were at Bark that day.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a lot skinnier back then. And I was like, look at this guy. Who's that? I know he
That
looks
was the
kind of
pig
familiar.
wrangling day, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh,
Yeah.
God, that was so much
Yeah.
fun. So I wrangled a pig that day. Because you
Two.
were two of them. That's right.
Yeah,
Yep.
Matilda and Hampshire.
Yep.
You brought them both there.
So we first got them there. Well, when we're up at the where they're being stored, I got these things in no problem, like literally like magic hands, right into their kennel. And the owner's like, "How did you do that?" I got the magic hands, man. But that wasn't the case going back the other way, man.
Yeah.
These things. So this one guy did not want to go anywhere, and he makes a beeline for under the fence. So Sean kind of got his knee in there to stop him. He's like, "All right, get him from the back." And I this thing was screaming bloody murder. People were stopping to
they're
stare
loud.
at us.
They're loud
No,
and
seriously,
hideous
it's the type
sounding.
of video that you want in fast motion with like a funny little like theme song going
Yeah, like a
around
Benny
it.
Hill type
Yeah,
like theme
exactly.
song.
And I'm looking at Sean like, "Please help me. I have no idea what I'm doing. If this pig gets out of here, we are screwed." How do you catch a pig who's running in the woods?
You don't.
You just wait for him to get tired and tackle him. I don't even
Tired
know.
or hungry.
But we got him in there, and it was absolutely hilarious. And thank God I don't have to do that every day as a
Yeah.
So is there a
work.
video of this? I mean,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But thank God.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
that's an intro right there to your
That's like a
podcast, is what
viral
that is.
video.
That's a viral intro.
Exactly.
He was so loud. I couldn't get over how loud he was.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So you're trying to get this thing in, right? Trying to let everybody know, like, I'm really not killing this thing. I'm just trying to get it into its kennel. And he has no part
I'm trying to protect it, honest.
And the problem is those things have such a low center of gravity. It's like a tank with 4 legs.
Oh, and they're just solid muscles.
That's like my dog, Callie, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
She's so low and so chonky. She's got that pit body.
there's a giant
She's only 60 pounds,
Yeah.
but when she doesn't want to be moved, she's like 1,000 pounds.
like
I
a
don't know how
60-pound
she does
sausage
it.
ram. You know? It's like-
Seriously, it's amazing.
pigs are like, I mean, and short, stout dogs.
Yeah.
They're all muscle.
They
how-
are. That's
yeah.
the thing.
Pigs don't get
It's like-
fatty until they,
Now, these pigs were fatty too.
Yeah, they were. They were
They
definitely
were.
well fed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean,
But they were big
they weren't
pigs.
like, ready for bacon status. They were, they were still nimble, right?
Yeah, for the most part, they
It
were.
wasn't
I mean,
1,000-pounder.
no,
No,
but
right.
they were definitely plus size. Like, they
Oh,
were,
yeah?
yeah, they were what we would be calling morbidly obese.
Okay, all right.
Their BMI was
Yeah, on the higher scale.
on the higher
Yeah,
scale.
yeah. They were
They
definitely
had short legs. They had short legs, is what you're saying.
It was almost like a wind-up toy. Like, once you get him going, yeah, he just and they, he was doing he were faking Sean out. Like, he would go to one way and go to the other. Like, I was surprised how smart. I forget what the rule of thumb with those pigs are. Aren't they like having a mental capacity of like a 3-year-old or something?
All
Oh,
I know
no,
is
no.
that pigs are like
it's
one of
hot-
the smartest animals.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
pigs are incredibly. It's like pigs, then dolphins and whales. Like pigs are way the hell up
You have your
there
phone
on the intelligence scale. Yeah.
Can you Google that? That'd be interesting.
Pigs are.
'Cause I know it's up there.
Yeah.
And it'd
Yeah,
be-
I know that they're very intelligent.
Yeah. Isn't it something too, like such a dirty animal that you don't think it would ever have the intelligence of that?
So
And
they're
then
not
just-
dirty. I mean,
They
can.
need to roll
Yeah.
because they don't sweat.
They take advantage of mud
Right.
because it cools them
It's-
because
yeah, their
that's their
Body regulation.
That's their,
temperature
that's their temperature regulation. So it's not that they're dumb. That's them smart. That's the only way they regulate it. So if you just give them clean water, then they'll swim. Like there's that island of pigs in
Oh,
the
that's right,
Bahamas.
yeah.
They
Right.
swim. And they're great swimmers. So it's all about just their environment. Like, oh well,
They're buoyant.
yeah.
We've got a pig lover over here.
They're like I'm telling you,
No,
listen,
Right here.
I'm just random facts guy.
Brett knows a lot about a lot of things that I would never in a
That's
million years.
awesome.
Like, he
I
comes
love
out with
that.
some stuff, and I'm just like, how does he know that? Like, he scares me sometimes.
Like how I know how smart pigs are.
Yeah, like I said, I know there's a mentality level of them, but I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Pigs are actually considered the 5th most intelligent animal in the world, more intelligent than dogs, and are capable of playing video games with more focus and success than chimps. They also have excellent object location memory. If they
Yeah, I
find a
don't-
grub in one spot, they'll remember to look there next time. And that's just a brief.
I need to see a pig play a video game in order to believe that. Because
Well, I bet
what
you-
does that mean?
I bet you the
Like-
pigs probably play better than the guys I play with on Xbox.
How pigs are intelligent? Question mark. That's bad grammar, but okay. Google. They can sense if a person will be nice to them.
Mm.
They're also able to distinguish between familiar pigs and strangers. Overall, research has shown pigs are skilled at mazes and other tests requiring location of objects, and they also have excellent long-term memories. They can even use a mirror to find hidden food.
It's crazy.
Oh,
And this one says
I
the
need
fourth
that
most.
skill.
Yeah. So pigs are pretty damn intelligent.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna have to see a pig one of these days and have a conversation.
Dude, I want a pet pig. Like, my wife won't let me have one. She drew the line.
I'd take one of those little
chickens
mini
and
pot
bees.
bellies.
That was it. Like,
Those pigs, nope.
I wanted a goat, and I wanted like a little pot belly, and she's not having it. I'm pushing the line. I'm going for ducks.
Just bring it home. That's what
I
my
was
family
gonna
does
say
all
you
the time.
just gotta
bring it
pull a
home.
Lauren and show
Yeah.
up with it.
Yeah, no.
If we're just keeping it a couple of days,
Now, you're gonna be doing just dogs, right?
just dogs.
Okay.
Yep.
Until someone brings a pig.
Right.
and you're just like, all right, let's see what this is all about.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's start your
'Cause
training.
As long as the dogs are okay with it, you'd probably be doing all right with
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. Like, I'm a big goat fan. I love baby goats.
Goats are so cool.
Of baby
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
But yeah, baby
I
goats
love
are
goats.
wicked
Goats are kind of
adorable.
dumb. I mean, well, they're instinctual, but
Yeah.
you know, they're not. Well, they're not pigs. Let's
They're
just
not
say
pigs.
that.
Yeah.
Okay? Well,
Yeah.
you know.
They're not in the top 5.
Yeah, they're not top 5.
They're not top
You know.
5.
They're on the scale. Where
Yeah.
where they are, we don't know.
Goats
but
are like,
not
I'm just
top
gonna
five.
chew this and see where it goes.
It's amazing. Like down south, I remember my father used to hunt hog all the time because they would tear up fields.
Oh yeah, they're voracious.
Yeah, and the amount of them that can happen like overnight is insane. They have huge litters,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember I was talking to my dad one day. I'm like, how bad are they? And he goes, I was just so the farmers would hire them, a bunch of guys for a day,
There's bounties on them and
Yeah.
stuff down there.
feed these guys, and then So my father used to do a lot with the homeless, with these things. So he would bring them to a processor,
Oh,
and then they would feed them the homeless from his church.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
that's
So
excellent.
That's why he got behind that. He was a funny hunter. So he had this deer, this buck. So my father had a rule: if it came on the property, he was safe. He wasn't going to shoot it because down south you could bait deer on your property, but he had rules. And every time he went in the woods, this thing would elude him, but he'd be walking back, and the minute he stepped foot on the property, here comes the buck. And they went back and forth for years.
So he wouldn't hunt on his own property, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just that was like the safe zone.
Yep. And this buck definitely knew that, and it would challenge him all the time. And so my father passed away. I was joking around with them like the buck won.
Yeah.
He waited him out. But he had those rules, and I really appreciated that because I'm not a hunter. I did go with him one time when I was young. I shot a deer, and it didn't die right away.
Ooh.
So my father hands me a knife and says, "We got to go take care of it." I'm like, "Who's going to do what? I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, you can't shoot it a second time." So he went and took care of it.
Yeah.
I helped him clean it up, and I
Never again.
never again.
Yeah.
That noise to this day has haunted me. I'll never go again.
The closest I get is the boars in Fortnite. That's as close as I get to hunting, and I'm really not good at that either. But
I mean, I guess I can appreciate somebody who does it to feed it their family, and I'm okay with
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it for recreation for
No.
sure. Like, I mean, I often want to learn how to do it just in case it ever becomes a necessity.
Right.
like a zombie apocalypse or
Yep.
whatever.
But just,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I'm not able to go to a grocery store and buy food for my family or whatever, could I attain it myself? Like, I'm pretty self-sufficient in the vegetable and fruit category and have the chickens and bees and all that stuff.
Yep.
But the meat part beside chickens, like I often wondered if I can hunt. And, I think just like anything else, I could figure it out and become, adept to it. But I don't know if I could do it for recreation leading up to that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, it took me time. Moving out here from New York, hunting was not something that was part of my life growing up. And I definitely had a lot of judgments when I moved out here.
Yep.
But I'm 100% on board with hunting to feed.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Probably tastes 1,000% better than what I'm getting from the grocery store anyway. So,
Yep.
I respect that. But yeah, hunting for recreation.
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan.
fan
Not a big
either.
fan. So talking about zombie apocalypse, do you have a plan?
We always have a plan.
Love it.
We always have a plan.
So talk to me. What does this plan look like?
I can't share that with you because I would be giving away our secret locations.
Damn it.
But we have a cohort who we'll be working with, and we got a
Nice.
place to go, and we know where the goods are that
Nice.
we need. I mean, basically, Nate's plan is to leave me behind, if you're really asking.
Well, you only have to be faster than your slowest friend. And then, you know
right.
what I mean?
He's like planning to just like take the kids in one arm each and just leave me with the dogs, and
It's
then
a
the
plan.
dogs will leave me. That's his plan probably. But yeah, no, we bonded over zombie movies when we met. It's a big part
did
of
you
our
really? Yeah.
marriage and our relationship. We love them, and so we always have a plan.
One of the funniest things I've ever done with my son is, I don't know if it was The Walking Dead that spawned it or another zombie movie. I would imagine it was The Walking Dead. And I said to him, we need to plan, it was a joke, but I said, we need to plan something out. And so we had a 3-ring binder, and we literally started making plans. Like he's an artist. So he would his thing was to go to Walmart and like take over a Walmart and so we could be on the roof. And so he had a picture of a Walmart and stuff, and we had all the weapons that we would use. And so, it must have been The Walking Dead because we had crossbows on there and ridiculous shit. But it was actually kind of fun having that time with him to think about what we were going to do,
When Walking Dead first was becoming a thing, I worked for Sports Authority. So it was the big thing. I was knowing that I know exactly what I would do. I would come lock myself in this damn
Right.
store. I got, I don't know, a couple years worth of freeze dried food. I got
Right.
all this shit, and I have all the clothing and all these supplies. I'm like, this is exactly where I'd be, and
Yeah, I mean, we're always paying close attention watching The Walking Dead. World War Z is probably my favorite movie. of
See,
all
I have
time.
not got into that yet. Is
I
that
love-
worth it?
I love World War Z.
that's a Brad Pitt one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the movie that I put on when I'm doing laundry, or I could watch it a million times over and over.
Oh, really?
But the thing I really learned from that was duct taping magazines around your arms
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Protect
defense.
from
Good
bites.
call.
Yeah.
For
Good
bite
call.
defense. So
See, when
I
I was
mean-
if I was, if I was at Sports Authority, like if I saw like some people that might have died or might have been affected, I would just I would strap rollerblades to them, you know.
Where is this going?
So then, like, you know, if they did like become a zombie,
They couldn't really get to you.
they're a
They'd
zombie on
just be
rollerblades.
falling.
Yeah.
Like, you
well,
know,
if they utilize the
smart.
front stopper,
they're not very coordinated. I mean, you
So
know,
smart.
historically, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, so if you're fully stocked of rollerblades, you see people down. You know, I'm not sure where this is going to go, but you're not going to get to me.
yeah, like,
Right.
if they're in a
Yeah.
wheelchair, you put a stick in one side so they
Yeah,
just keep
yeah,
spinning
kinda- it's kinda
around.
like
that, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's a good plan.
Yeah.
You know, I remember. So this used to be a theater room down here. This whole back wall was one big screen, and it was really nice up. I had it really done up, and so I had these thoughts of grandeur, right? Like, this is where everybody was going to hang out. This is going to be the room of the house, and I was the only one down here all the time. So I used to get up on Saturday morning, grab a coffee, grab some cereal or whatever, and I come down and I catch a movie every Saturday. So this is back before like Netflix was a big thing. So I would have to. I was part of a Blu-ray subscription where they would send me just random Blu-rays. You know,
kind of like Netflix, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So every Saturday was like just religious. I would do that, and I don't know. I remember I didn't want to watch The Walking Dead. One thing for me is, like if I'm a big sci-fi fan, so I'm very skeptical. Like if I watch the trailer, I'm like, if there's even an inkling that might suck, I'm done. I don't want to watch it because I get so much into them because I want to believe so bad
Right.
that like that's real. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm a huge sci-fi. Like Star Wars is like my hands down my favorite. So
you're immersive. Like you're in it.
I'm in it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah. I'm a big movie buff, and I'm
Yeah.
a sound guy too. Like I love sound. That's why like when I first started this, it was driving me mental that I couldn't get the sound right. On the podcast you were at, remember we were using Audacity, and come to find out Audacity is not for as many people as we had.
Yeah.
So when you were listening to them, they were actually coming through my mic and not their own mics, even though on my computer I could see it.
It's all 3 mics.
Yeah, I lost a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
did. And so I don't remember how I watched The Walking Dead, but I watched one episode, and I remember calling Cheryl. I was on my cell phone. I'm like, you need to get downstairs right now. And she's like, I'm not watching it. I'm not getting wrapped up in that. Because we always had this thing because I think maybe it was 3 seasons. Yeah, so it was 3 seasons. And that's usually when they usually gun something, you know?
Right.
So I hate getting wrapped up in something and then it just goes away.
Gets
Yeah.
canceled. Yeah.
So we watched that next episode, and she's like, can we go back and watch all the other ones? So I remember we ordered food. We had blankets down here and stuff, and we were down here. Like I stunk
So good though.
8 or 9 hours, man.
So good,
If it was
though.
not more.
It was great. Like, I think I try not to bite into fat, like, you know, like chatter, I guess, so much. And I wait to just hear it like organically, you know, because obviously there's a lot out there, you know, in social media, but I'll wait till like 2 or 3 of my close friends will like, you know, dude, have you watched this?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what happened with Walking Dead. Like, I didn't want to buy in, you know, because I just, not that I'm disappointed, but that you invest a lot of time, you know, in that, you know, just watching TV shows. And it actually came through my wife, and she hates like suspenseful, gory, thriller, like anything. And like I had heard plenty about it, and I kind of just assumed, even though I actually kind of was interested, that she wouldn't want to. So like it's something where I was just like, oh, I kind of waited. And she's like, oh, you want to check out Walking Dead? We made it like halfway into the first episode, like the pilot, and she's like, no, I'm out of here. This is like, and then when we were at this point, we're like 3-4 seasons behind. Like, you know, it took us a
Right.
while but you know, the beauty of streaming, you know, 3 weeks later, I'm like caught up and waiting for the next episode. And I thought it was absolutely incredible. Like it's probably one of the favorite shows. I actually started rewatching it recently.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, we were like the zombie nerds, like waiting for the pilot to come. Like we knew it was coming. We couldn't wait.
So what was one of the first zombie movies that you guys bonded over? Do you remember?
I don't know that we bonded over a zombie movie. We bonded over the idea of a plan for a zombie apocalypse.
so do you consider yourself a prepper?
I do.
Okay.
You're on a watch list. It just happened.
Dude, have you heard me talk? My household is like basically self-sufficiency.
Well, my mantra is, if you're not on a watch list by now, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. So
Like I already said, the only thing I'm not like prepared to do is hunt. And actually, I think I'm prepared. I just need to be,
Forced
Just
into
forced,
it.
yeah.
forced into it.
Right. Survival.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if you use their standards of, like a homegrown terrorist now, my grandparents were homegrown terrorists then because they had food, all sorts of stuff. They might, I'm sure they could live a
like
whole year.
canned, and
Right.
it's like I honestly could live.
I mean, COVID helped me with that. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Now I know a couple more things to add to the pantry that are,
You know what kind of made me, I always thought I was prepared mentally, right? I really did. I thought I was like, mentally, I will always persevere. But when COVID happened, for a split second, maybe for a day, I wigged out.
Yeah.
I'm not
Did you?
going to lie. Yeah. I didn't show it though, but in my mind, I'm like, oh my God. Because we went down to, we couldn't find food anywhere. Like
Right.
meat and stuff was like, and
Yeah.
aisles were just bare. So I kind of having to start thinking outside the box. And we talked about it on the podcast a couple of times where one of my old accounts helped me out, but we went to an Asian market down in Boston Road, and the amount of people that were there scrambling was scary. And I think that's what made me wig out a little bit, because it didn't matter where we went. People were filling up their gas tanks with gas. All the grocery stores were packed. I mean, it was just like everywhere you went, that heightened level of
Panic.
yeah. And it really wigged me out for a little bit. And I think it probably took me like maybe 72 hours to kind of get back in the check
Yeah.
and be like, okay, I got this. Because the other problem is I was taking care of my mother, I was taking care of my son's mother. I have other people who I have to take care of that don't live with me,
Right.
and I think that's where some of the tension came from, was like, okay, how do I make sure that, because my mom would not live at any of our houses. I called her up, and when my father died, he's like, you're the man of the house now. You have to make some tough calls, do it. So I call my mother like I'm her father, and I'm like, this is how the conversation went.
You're gonna need
Ring,
to move in
ring.
with me.
Hello. Hey, Mom, it's Jeff. How's it going? Good. You need to go live over someone's house. No, I'm not. What do you mean you're not? Then it just went downhill from there.
F you, Jeff.
Right.
I'm your mother. No, you're not my. So I ended up calling one of my sisters, freaking out. Like, Mom, I call Mom and she won't go to your house. And she's like, I know. I told her to come here. My sister has a full apartment that she could have stayed on. But then I called my other sister and she's like, you know what? She's right. Like, she's fine where she is.
Right.
But it's just that distance of something would happen. How can I get there? And
Yeah, we were all a little panicked.
yeah, and
For a
I
hot
never
second
felt
there.
that before ever in my life. And you could put me in a room full of 5 guys and I'll fight. And that doesn't bother me as much as that really freaked me
Right.
out. I had to put on sleeping medication because I couldn't sleep, and I didn't really have any. I mean, my job was paying me to be home. It really wigged me out that I got to that point, but it did it to a lot of people. I wasn't the only one, but the reason why I like that zombie thing is, could we really be in a world where
Right.
you're in The Walking Dead?
Right.
How scary is that?
I was actually totally chill like the whole time.
Yeah, that's your thing.
It's kind of
That's
my
like,
thing.
That's like your bit,
I'm just gonna figure it out. Like, I think the kids, they're hearing like varying degrees of, just chitter chatter and everything like that. I'm like, we'll figure it out. Like,
Nate was like totally chill. Like
Yeah.
he's an introvert at heart.
Yeah.
It was like the best year of his life.
oh yeah,
To socialize, and he knows I'm going to take care of everything.
that was a huge benefit
You
for
know?
me. I'm an introvert also, so I
Yeah.
was like, oh wait, you mean like I don't even have to go to work?
Yeah.
Like I only have to talk to people when they want to like message me on like
No
Teams
parties,
or whatever.
no
like
school events.
yeah,
like,
and I love
no
a good
family.
party, but
It was yeah.
yeah, it was amazing, and I'm also a cheap person, so I was like, oh, the money I'm saving,
We did
I'm
save
like,
some money.
we're not going out to eat,
Yeah.
I'm not going out to drink,
We
we're like,
definitely saved
yeah,
money.
we're not. I mean, we
I didn't
and we
save
did,
any
and
money.
we did a bunch of camping. Once things opened up a bit, like we did, like a week-long tour through the state parks of New York and Pennsylvania.
Oh wow.
Like, we went, we put some miles on, but it was all inexpensive, like, things. And it wasn't, you weren't going out to eat every night because the restaurants weren't open
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah.
It was, all things considered, for me personally, it was, there was a lot of positives, amongst a sea of negatives. It was, I think it did a lot of good for a lot of people amongst all the,
Yeah.
Right.
negative.
It's funny because Cheryl's like my enabler in certain ways. So like, I like doing home improvements, but I don't like to do them. I like to hire somebody to do those. Well, although my buddy Kenny has been tremendous with coming over and helping, doing all sorts of things. But I remember last year we're like, let's do this. Like, let's put new floors in. I was hoping she would say we don't need new floors, and then it was like, oh, that's a great idea. We need new floors. $5,000 later, and then we put mini splits in. Like we went through the whole. We put drop lights, or what do you call that? Recessed lighting into almost every room in the house. We changed ceiling. Like that. The one thing about home improvements is it's not one thing you have to do.
Right.
It's a chain reaction.
Absolutely.
And then you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
How did I spend this much money?
We did redo both of our bathrooms.
Oh, that's
during
right.
COVID, because we were going to Disney and had to cancel it.
Oh, that's right.
And it's sad that Disney costs the same as renovating 2 bathrooms, but it's the truth. And so, we made use of that time home and did it ourselves.
Yeah.
We had the same thing. I mentioned the new couch and the dog not being, so we redid our living room. We did, our kitchen has been an ongoing project, and we, pretty much wrapped that up.
We had time.
Yeah.
We had time.
Had plenty of time.
Yeah.
I definitely learned a lot. It was a great learning experience about time,
Mm-hmm.
because I just lost my dad. You lost your mom. And so time for me means something very different now, and not to say I don't get stressed out anymore, because I still do it, I guess, at a certain level. But, we went through some big changes at work a couple of weeks ago, and I was having a conversation with somebody I work with, and she said to me, she was upset. And I said, listen, I don't get upset about it. She said, how come you never get upset about these things? I go, because if I don't like it, then I just leave and I go find something else. We talk about change a lot in the podcast, and how change can really affect somebody in a negative way. But because it's uncomfortable, but once you start being uncomfortable, then you start being comfortable. It's that weird dynamic.
Right.
But people have a hard time getting over that first hurdle. And I went to a profession I had nothing to do with before, and turned out
slayed it.
and we're doing well. So it's I could do that again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And all the stuff I put up with in another company for that amount of time. I mean, when Cheryl had her stroke, and I won't name his name, but he called me and he's like, "Are you going to be back to work on Monday?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just called out for Monday." And he's like, "Well, there's no one to watch your route." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? My wife just had a subarachnoid hemorrhage. We don't know to what extent, because
Right.
She had speech issues, she had physical issues that we had to take care of, and he's asking me if I'm going to go back to work on Tuesday, and I never forgot that. You know,
the correct conversation is, you let me know when you're ready to come back.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But when I think back to how I got here is, and it's hindsight's 2020, but I had to go through all of that in order to get here. So I think that's a very valuable lesson that some people say, why me? Why did this happen to me? But I've learned over the years, man, don't knock that, because that gave you the tools to be where you're at now. And if it's not where you want to be right now, don't sweat that either, because it's going to happen.
Right.
I'm a firm believer. A lot of people say hard work doesn't get you anywhere. I think that's bullshit.
I think that's bullshit.
I
too.
think hard work will definitely get you somewhere. Might not be now. I'm almost 50 years old, and it worked for me. Not to say that I didn't have other good jobs back in the day, because I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just I had a span of time that was I wasn't valued in a certain way, but that's fine. You know what I mean? And I know that I'm not going to change anything. So if I don't want to do that anymore, I'm free and clear. No one's holding a gun to my head to make me stay where I'm going to be.
Right.
I can go. I think that's a valuable lesson. That's why I just applaud you for what you're doing, because this takes a lot of guts. It really does.
Thanks.
And you're a smart cookie. You always, we know that we absolutely love you,
Ditto.
and I think this is going to take off like a rocket, and people are going to know who you are.
Thank you.
So I'm very proud to say,
I hope so for
What-
the animals.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I love everything that it's based upon and the model, and I mean, I can definitely see the the potential and how many different directions it can grow, all for the benefit of people and animals.
Thank you. I hope so. I will work hard to make it happen.
You know what they say: if you build it, it will come.
Right.
What movie was that again?
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Field of
yeah.
Dreams, baby.
Mhm.
Kevin Costner, James
Yeah.
Earl Jones.
Yeah, you know, Kevin Costner gets a bad rap, but
I don't know why, dude. He's
he
Dude,
changed my
Dances
life
with
with The
Wolves.
Bodyguard.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even The Postman was a good
Yeah.
flick.
I mean,
you know,
Waterworld.
everybody has their bad days.
Everyone's,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, he's still doing better than John Travolta.
That's true.
Yeah, our Nicolas Cage. I mean, they're just trying to spit him out.
I was a huge Nicolas Cage fan.
I like Nick Cage.
Loved him.
I'm
you know,
still
but
a fan.
I'm still a
I
fan. I mean,
mean-
So, who's your famous male actor?
Like, who's my favorite?
Yeah.
Tom Hanks.
Ooh.
I like
Okay.
since I was a kid.
Wow.
versatility. You know, genuality. I mean,
Just
I mean,
excellent.
Yeah.
he just-
Excellent
T.
actor.
Hanks. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of other greats out there, but I mean, just look at his library.
And what about yours?
Yeah, no, I all time favorite. It's either T. Hanks or Denzel.
Well, that's a good call.
I mean, but Denzel, you know, yeah, and you know, I mean, he's got some swagger.
He does.
I mean,
He does.
T. Hanks lacks in the swagger just a little bit. So I mean, but Denzel, and he's got equal versatility, impactful roles. I mean, you know, underrated still. I think
His
but-
speeches are unreal. So a lot of the most motivational things like all those clips
Yeah.
and stuff I listen to on YouTube. He is on a lot of those.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and it's amazing. Like
he's an impactful speaker.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just look at the speeches he's incorporated into his roles, and I think that's probably what separates him. You know, like his, Hanks doesn't have like those monologue moments. You know, I think Denzel has a lot more of those. You know, in his movies, and I think that's based on the roles that he's chosen.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
You know, so
Tom
it's
Hanks is really a
yeah.
character actor. Like he
yeah.
becomes the character, and I think Denzel just brings more of his own into a role.
Yeah. One thing I think that Denzel said once was, "You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse." I love that.
That's actually so. There's one of my favorite bands that I listen to occasionally. You know, because I'm a bit of a hippie, but Wookie Foot. One of their songs incorporates "You'll never see a hearse with a trailer hitch."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
Yep.
firm believer of that. Yeah.
All right. We talked about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
We did. It was great.
I love having you on.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Yep. So again, one more time, Better Together Dog Rescue, Better Together BetterTogetherDogRescue.org. You're on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
Let us know when you want to come back, when
I
you're ready
will.
to start doing fosters and all that other stuff, and we will go through that whole thing again and hopefully spin off. And who knows where this is going to go?
Yeah,
We could both be famous.
I would love it.
Well,
I would love it.
You're coming from a great place. You're coming from a pure heart. So good things will happen.
Stuff.
I can see the future. The future is good.
Yes.
And Brett's still handsome at the end of the day.
Right. So it works out for
I mean,
everybody.
apparently that's what the people are saying. You didn't even tell me. I don't know if you don't want it to go to my head or what, but
Well, after my wife said you were worldly, I got to
well,
kind of be
I
careful.
knew that she said I was worldly.
I'm just now I know that next time I should bring a bottle of wine.
Yeah, so he always does. So I usually start off
Nobody
with
shared with me.
what
Just
we're
saying.
what we're drinking.
You were drinking coffee,
Just
and
kidding.
there's more bottles down there.
Yeah, we do have some over there for next
Yeah.
time. We
Now I know.
yeah,
Now I know.
and you feel free to let me
I'd
know
look
what you
way
want
cooler
next time.
drinking a glass of wine than
Well, you can't. I mean, we do live in New England. Dunkin' runs our life,
it does.
right? We're gonna go to Dunkin', kid.
Every
You
time
know?
I come here,
Yeah.
I bring Dunkin'.
You do.
I
You-
do.
you- that is
I do.
your signature move.
It is my signature.
Yeah.
I'm a
move,
coffee
yeah.
snob, so I'm just gonna.
That's
Yeah.
a whole other
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah, it's
right?
a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
That's a whole other
I
podcast.
own-
Well, I mean, for what it is, although I think it's getting ridiculously expensive.
Mhm.
But you know who has really good coffee? And I'm going to say it. Cumberland
Cumberland
Farms.
Farms. I
Yep.
love
Yeah,
Cumbies
no,
coffee.
I-
Farmhouse Fresh.
If
love
I
it.
have to buy a coffee out, it's
Cumbies is great.
Cumbies, unless I can find small independent coffee place. So I live in Chicopee, so Good Works is fantastic, and
Right.
they serve coffee from the place that I buy my beans from, which is Monsoon Roastery in Springfield.
Do you roast
you
your
know.
own beans, or do you?
No,
go-
I've actually looked into it, because I thought it would be cool.
Yeah.
But they roast on site, and I started buying from them through work. They used to do when I was going into my office, they used to do a farmer's market, and they were there every Wednesday. So I started buying their beans, and I have I grind my own and brew. And one of my biggest things is when I first started my job, it was the first time I ever like consistently had to be in kind of early, in a long time.
Right,
with working retail, it was like 9 a.m.,
Sure.
10 a.m. Now I'm like, I have to be there and like looking good by like, 7:30. So they sell a coffee and I forget where the beans are grown, but they're like twice the caffeine. So it was a big help for me, because I don't drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
So it was like a huge help. So now I'm like a devoted drinker of their coffee. And, I've gotten a lot of compliments, like when I share it, where it's like, oh, this is really good coffee. So, I think I've adapted and I'm supportive. And at the same time, I think it's really good coffee. So I almost will go without a lot of times because there's certain, and I drink my coffee black, and I think that's probably
So you need it to be like rich and flavored.
I taste every bit of what there's no masking it. And part of that's because I don't want what comes along with adding to the coffee, but I also just grew to like the taste of it. But it really needs to taste so good. Otherwise, I would rather not have it. So
I did the decaf today, which is something I never ever really. I can't remember the last time I had a decaf.
Yeah.
But I started doing those ketones today for the keto, and it has like 300 milligrams of caffeine. I think it does. So I'm like, I'm not going to really start playing with that and have a heart attack in my sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So decaf it is, and
I drink decaf all day.
is yours decaf too?
I gave up caffeine 2 years ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I just watched a really good
Yeah.
podcast.
So you like the taste of coffee so
I
much
love
that
the
you
taste of coffee. I love
Really?
the habit of coffee.
Yeah.
really
Not
see.
like when I had surgery a couple of years ago, I had to give up caffeine at the time. And,
Right.
you can go back to it. It's not like you can't ever have caffeine again. But for me, it was like something I had overcome.
Right.
And so it was like, well, I'm used to it. Do I really need it? I function every day. Like if I have 32 ounces of water first thing in the morning, that's kind of my caffeine. It just kicks me off for the day.
Wow.
But I love coffee. I love hot coffee, even in the summer. Like there's just, that's like a comfort thing for me. And so,
Yeah, I wouldn't drink it. Like, I mean, I've had caffeine for non-caffeinated coffee, but like I have 1 cup a day. I'm not like I can't function without it, but like when I wake up in the morning, it's kind of like part of my routine. And it's when I was going into work, it was a 20-ounce mug because that's just what I had. It was a really cool, kept it hot for as long as it took me to drink it. And now I drink out of a small mug and I have 1 cup. And if on a day we run out of coffee, I'm like, all right, cool. I don't freak
Right.
out. I'm not like, I got to go buy one or I'm not going to be able to function. But like, it's just part of my like kind of get up and do my thing. And I don't feel like I need it. And it's easily substituted as like a glass of whatever. But I guess I don't like the taste of it so much. Where like,
I love it.
yeah, see, like,
I love it.
but I don't think
And
I
I
have
have
that
an
for
addictive
anything.
personality.
Yeah.
So if I was back on caffeine, it would be like caffeine all day,
Yeah.
So this is my treat to myself.
So that was before you gave up caffeine, you were drinking those coffees.
I was drinking coffee in
it
the
was the same
morning, in the
thing, just-
midday, in the afternoon. It never bothered me sleeping. I could always go to sleep drinking caffeine right before it. But once I gave up caffeine, it was like I still wanted a treat.
Yeah.
And I love the
But you
taste
didn't
of
miss
coffee.
the caffeine part of it. at
Didn't
all.
miss the
Yeah.
caffeine part of it.
I mean,
There are days where I'm like, but
you could be doing meth. So if you do
That's true,
if
yeah.
you do a large D&D,
Yeah.
you're
I-
good. You know what I mean?
this was my treat.
Yeah.
So
Well, you could be doing far
Yeah.
worse. So
my coffee
That's
story.
true.
You're good.
Yeah.
yeah, I could be doing worse. Exactly.
You could be in a gutter, on schmack and
Yeah.
drinking coffee. If this is the worst you're doing,
Yeah. And you can be like,
Doing
oh,
pretty good. Cheers
rock
to that.
on with
Yeah.
that.
well, if
Yeah.
I'm in the gutter, at least give me caffeinated coffee.
Right.
That's right. Don't give me that swill. All right, I gotta get to bed. I don't even know what time it is. What time
Yeah,
is it?
it's 8:30.
Oh,
Oh,
my
kids
it's
are
God.
gonna be
it's
mad.
actually kind of early.
Oh,
I haven't called
I'm
them yet.
old, man.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, thanks for having
If
me.
it's past 9 o'clock, I'm a bear the next day.
And I'll keep you updated, and I'll be back.
You better be back.
I will be.
All right.
With good news.
All right.
Yeah, and if we can find a dog that my dog gets along with, I'm totally down to get another one. But,
Okay.
All right.
so we get,
Mental
do
note.
shelters do, or not, but rescues do, like intro
Meet and greets?
weekends and stuff? Because
Absolutely.
like I'm always, like, I think he's more keen on the female dogs because his name is Casanova.
Ooh la la.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like I'd love to have him have a playmate. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's for another podcast.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Hit him with the.
All right. So as always, I will promote our family business, IQ Inc. We can be found at iq-inc.com. Family-owned screen printing and embroidery business. We can print and embroider pretty much anything at any quantity. And I will always promote my son's business, bluebeeapparel.com. 10% of all of his profits go to the Honeybee Conservancy, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to saving the honeybees or preserving the honeybees. And he just ended it, and I think he still has some items for sale that would benefit. But he did run a Be Proud collection to benefit LGBTQ organizations, and he was donating an additional 10% of his profits to the Trevor Project, which is for LGBTQ suicide prevention and awareness. But either way, fantastic causes. Through my son's business, you can be found at bluebeeapparel.com. He is currently on a hiatus, a creativity break, which I admire him for. And there'll be no new designs coming out for the next few weeks. But there are some, older designs and some of his core collection that are still available. So that's all I got.
nice.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah, I was really excited the first day I saw somebody wearing one of his shirts, and it was one of those things where she walked by me and I go, "Wait a minute, I know that shirt," and I introduced myself, and she said that she used to go to school with him.
Yeah.
And then she started describing him. I'm like, I already know all about him, so
Yeah,
I told him you're his dad, and he's a good kid.
Oh man, that's a whole nother podcast. I'd actually love to get him on here because I couldn't be more proud of the man he's becoming.
Yeah. He sounds
the
amazing.
fact that he did this collection for the LGBTQ community and donated some of his own money basically to it. And then as it wound down, he didn't even say anything to me. He didn't talk to me about it. He's like,
Just doing it.
he announced it on to his 20-something thousand followers on TikTok. He's like, I'm taking a break and I'll be back. And it was like, I monitor what's happening in his little community, and the reaction and the support was like, dude, take your break, we're here for you. And I was like, it's floored.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to support someone else on the podcast like we do at the end of every podcast. So this is from our boy Joe Armorino, If You Give a Gay a Grinder. Again, Joe is making a book on the struggles for trans people. So when that book comes out, we'll have a new addition to the podcast. We'll have Joe on again to talk about that. But you can find his book on Amazon. You can find his book on reallygaybooks.com. All proceeds go to Joe, and he has a whole bunch of stuff. He has phone cases and all sorts of stuff that helps promote the book. So it's a real great book. I mean, we read it. He was here that day. We definitely enjoyed it. So definitely support Joe and his adventure. Again, and then Better Together Dog Rescue. And it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
That's it.
Peace.